The search for Michael Vaughan continues. Michael went missing from his neighborhood in Futland in July of 2021. He was just 5 years old at the time. Law enforcement has spent the last year and a half investigating. But the Futland police chief says a credible tip led investigators to a home near Michael's neighborhood this weekend.
Crews are back out in Futland today searching for Michael Vaughan. Police believe his remains are in the backyard of a Futland home, and today is the 6th day crews are excavating the yard. Crews could be at the house on Red Wing Street for another week. This house is just 4 minutes from the Vaughn's home.
As you know, from the time Michael went missing, this has been an all-hands-on-deck investigation, and it remains very active and an ongoing investigation. You can't take one of our most precious citizens from us and ever expect us to stop. During the course of this investigation to date, we received credible information that the remains of Michael Vaughan could be found in the backyard at 1102 Red Wing Street in Futland. As a result, the Futland Police Department obtained a search warrant for the residence along with the front and backyards. That search warrant was served on November 11th. It was a Friday. We served that late in the evening. Upon entry, officers encountered Sarah Wandra, one of the known occupants of the home, and Sarah was subsequently arrested based on probable cause that she had knowledge of Michael's death and failed to report that death to law enforcement. The following day, the Futland Police Department, joined by the Idaho State Police, the Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue, the Futland Fire Department, and the Futland Public Works Department, began a very methodical excavation of the backyard of the Wandra's home. During that excavation process, the Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue, Mountain States detection dogs deployed multiple certified human remains detection dogs on the property, all of them alerting to the presence of human remains. Ground penetrating radar was also used and deployed, detecting anomalies in the backyard. We completed the excavation of the entire backyard and removed over 250 yards of dirt. Prior to backfilling the yard, the dirt was meticulously sifted for any potential human remains. We did not find Michael's remains. Although the remains of Michael Vaughan were not recovered, we strongly believe, based on evidence, that Michael was abducted and is deceased, and that his remains were buried and later moved from the property. As of today, the whereabouts of his remains are unknown. However, the investigation is active, fluid, and ongoing. Once the excavation was complete, we conducted a thorough search of the Wandra's residence. The search was productive, and additional investigative evidence was recovered and is currently being processed.
Evidence suggests that there are the following individuals who are currently in custody are involved in the abduction of Michael Vaughan. Sarah Wandra, 35 years old. Sarah lives at 1102 Red Wing Street in Futland and was living there at the time of Michael's disappearance. We believe that Sarah has firsthand knowledge and is involved in Michael's abduction. Sarah Wandra is currently being held at the Payette County Jail for failing to report a death to law enforcement. And Stacy Wandra, 30 years old, a male. Stacy was also living at 1102 Red Wing Street in Futland and was living there at the time of Michael's disappearance. We believe that Stacy has firsthand knowledge and is involved in the abduction of Michael Vaughan. Brandon Shurtliff, 30 years old, of Kuna, Idaho. Brandon was living with Sarah and Stacy Wandra at 1102 Red Wing Street at the time of Michael's disappearance, and we believe Brandon has firsthand knowledge of Michael's abduction. Adrian Lucian, 32-year-old male out of Toledo, Ohio. Adrian was staying with Sarah and Stacy Wandra at 1102 Red Wing Street at the time of Michael's disappearance.
Goodness, Welcome in, everybody. It is so good to see everybody here. I am super, super excited, I guess is the word, to have this live tonight. It's Tuesday, April 15th, 2025. Welcome to Missing PNW Crimes Revisited. I'm Samantha. Thank you guys all so much for being here to support Michael and the Vaughan family. I truly do appreciate it, and I know 1,000% that the Vaughan family really appreciates everybody being here. Please share Michael, talk about Michael, put Michael on your social media as things are moving in Michael's case. Let's talk and say hi to everybody. Holly was so gracious at the very beginning of the live. She gifted 5 PNW memberships. Thank you so much, Holly. I really do appreciate that. I cannot do this without all of you. If you did receive a gifted membership, please thank Holly. You can tell by if you have turned green. Oh, again, thank you guys all so much for coming in. So let's just see who's here. Julia's here. Bless Mama of 3 is here. Holly, of course, is here. Thanks again for those memberships. Rianne and Benson is here. Halo Art, my beautiful moderator, is here. Thank you, honey, for coming in. True Crime Junkie. Mama B. Oh, you're such a sweetheart. Thank you so much for coming in. S41 Hollywood. My sweet Opal in the house. Thank you so much for coming in, love. Jazzy Jewel. Thank you for coming in. Eve Hickman, thank you so much for sharing our live today. I appreciate that. It's a great way to get Monkey's name out there. Sharing his story is going to bring him more awareness than anything. Sharing my live, other people's lives, flyers, information, whatever you can do to help Monkey. And so many people always ask, what can you do? And that's what you can do. You can share. Michael Joseph Vaughan. Clipped Wings. Good to see you, hun. Let's see who else is here. Jemima. Thank you for coming in. Oh my goodness, there are so many people coming in. This is great because this is going to be a good one, y'all. Prettier Cessor, thank you so much for coming in. Hot Damn is here. Love it. Love that name. Hot Damn. Pam Vogel, thank you so much. Or Fogel, sorry. ICU is here. Thank you for coming in, hun. We got Rita Rizzo. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate everybody so much. And here's our message from Opal for today. She always leaves us a lovely message. Let's just see what she has to say. You have been criticizing yourself for years and it hasn't worked. Try approving yourself and see what happens. You matter to me. And you know what, Opal? You matter to all of us. And we're so appreciative of your kindness and your warm heart every single time you come into chat. Diane Crawford is here. Thank you so much for coming in. Blue Heron, thank you for coming back. It's great to see you. Sarah Suspicious, another great moderator. And I love saying her name, Sarah Suspicious. Love it. All right. We got Batgirl here. Thank you for coming in. Just going through chat. I want to make sure that I say hi to any newcomers that are coming in. We got Miss Sporen back. Thank you, love, for coming back. I believe you're from Scotland, you said. We have Jemima. I know she is from the UK also. People from all over the world here and, you know, following Monkey's case. Hair curlers and crime. Best name on the YouTube streets. I absolutely love it. Yaya, thank you so much for coming in. She's been here for me from the very beginning, even with my Chiron stuff. I really appreciate all of my moderators for coming in. We're going to want to keep an eye on chat tonight. All right, you guys, I have a lot of information to share. I'm going on vacation this weekend. This is going to be my last live this week. And I crammed everything into one live, so I hope you guys are ready for it, because I'm ready for it. I know the Vaughan family is ready for some more new information to be put out there. We've got a lot of stuff to go over. We're also going to recap some things that's been going on over the last couple of days. And yeah, click that notification bell, subscribe, and if you'd like, become a Missing PNW member. I would love to have you. If not, lurk in the bushes. Come and watch the lives on replay. The only thing that matters is that Michael Vaughan is getting the awareness that he deserves, and that the Vaughan family see that awareness out there. H. Doc, good to see you. Ashley is in the house. All right. I can smell my dinner, Yaya, but I'm not eating it. Minky, good to see you. Alicia, good to see you. Maud is here, thank you. Jill, Sally Mae. All right, you guys. I don't want to take up any more. Smoke is in the house. Jill, all right. So, like I said, we're going to do a little bit of recap. We're going to be talking about new information. The new information is a secret search for Monkey, and we'll get to that eventually. Right now, I want to talk about Michael Joseph Vaughan, because that's why we're here. Michael Joseph Vaughan was abducted from Futland, Idaho on July 27th of 2024. And there are 4 named suspects in Michael's abduction and murder, and that is Stacy and Sarah Wandra, Adrian Lucian, and Brandon Shurtliff. Brandon Shurtliff is the subject tonight, and if he shows up in chat, he is more than welcome to come on up. So we want justice for Monkey. We're Monkey's army, and we're not going anywhere. We're going to keep talking about the case. We're going to keep researching. We're going to keep finding clues. We're going to keep talking about everything. And most importantly, we are never going to stop. It's just never going to happen. If anybody has a tip regarding Michael's abduction, or if you've heard anything from one of these suspects, or even a rumor, please call in the tip at 208-642-6006. Let law enforcement decide whether or not your tip is credible. It could be something so small that you just think, you know, isn't valid, and it could mean everything to law enforcement and Monkey's case. You can also email findmichael@futland.org. You can remain anonymous. You can collect over $52,000 if the information helps find Michael. And that's what it's come down to, right? Because right now, this is a nobody case. They don't know where Michael is. The DA has told the Vaughan family that charges have been written up, and now we know about a plea agreement that Brandon Shurtliff was recently offered, and we're about to talk about that too. So please share a flyer, share Monkey, share. I just cannot express enough, especially while there's movement in his case. We cannot let the world forget about Monkey, because we're never going to forget. We're never going to forget what has happened to him. One of these suspects abducted Michael. One of these suspects murdered Michael. One of these suspects buried Michael in the backyard of the Wanderer's house. And one of these suspects moved Michael from the Wanderer's backyard, and they know exactly where Monkey is today. And it is time for one of these suspects to start talking, or all suspects to start talking, because time is definitely running out. We're going to keep adding and putting the pressure on these suspects. We already know that Sarah and Stacy are in prison right now, and they're not going to be released anytime soon. Recently, Stacy Wanderer just got a year and a day. We know that Sarah is going to be sitting in prison until 2026. They're in there on unrelated charges, but I guarantee you they're not going to get out of there in a year, because charges are coming. Law enforcement knows exactly where Adrian Lucien is, and I also believe they know exactly where Brandon Shurtliff is, and we're going to talk more about that later too. And Brandon, if you're listening, I have a message for you by Brandy Neil Vaughan.
And Brandon, you know what happened to our beautiful baby. Whether you were directly involved, but you know. You need to start talking. You need to come forward. Quit lying, quit hiding. Please tell us where Michael is. Let our family have some rest, please. Let us bring our baby home. We've worked tirelessly, endlessly. Law enforcement, stop protecting these criminals. It's time to tell the truth. It's time to own up. It's time to find Michael and bring him home and stop your BS.
You heard it, Brandon. Stop your BS. I mean, I'm getting really sick and tired, and I don't know about anybody else. I'm getting sick and tired of listening to Brandy have to beg and plead with these suspects for them to tell her where her son is. Where is Michael Joseph Vaughan? Come forward already. You're going to end up spending life in prison, if not get the death penalty. It's coming. You can't run. You can't hide. In my opinion, it's imminent. It's going to happen. She's so very sick. She's fighting for her life every single day. She deserves to know where her son is right now. Opal, thank you so much for the super chat. Yes, we are Brandy Strong. Thank you for being super. I appreciate you so much, hon. Thank you. Bring Michael home. Justice. Justice for Brandy, Tyler, and the family. For Michael. Purple, thank you for coming in. Lady, Llama. Oh my goodness, there's so many people. Thank you guys all for coming. So, we got a lot to talk about. Baby kisses, I see you. Let her have her son. Exactly. You know, the Vaughan family deserves to know where Monkey is. He needs to come home. Give this family some peace. So let's talk about some things that we've gone over the past few days. There's a plea deal that was offered to Brandon. Give up Monkey's body and tell us where he's buried, or get the death penalty pretty much. Sign the deal and we'll take the death penalty off the table. The charge is for first-degree murder. If he doesn't want to sign the plea deal, and from what we understand, he hasn't signed the plea deal. So, in my opinion, there is evidence to prove murder by Brandon. Or, is there evidence to prove that he had anything to do with the murder? Is there evidence to prove that Brandon knows where Michael is right now? I mean, these are my questions because we're not privy to all of the information, but they did fly all the way to Montana from Fruitland, Idaho. A local sheriff from Livingston showed up. 2 detectives from Fruitland, or 1. Misty said 1, and we know that Dan last night said 2. But we know detectives from Fruitland came, and the state's prosecutor from Fruitland showed up wanting to offer Brandon this plea deal that he stupidly, in my opinion, turned down. They told him he had 48 hours to sign or they were coming back with a warrant. And this was on March 8th. Without any evidence, do you really think they're going to fly to Montana and stay in a hotel for a few days with no evidence? In my opinion, I doubt it. You know how much money they had to spend to do that? Now, Dan asked if Brandon was involved. He spoke with the detective when they came and pretty much wholeheartedly wanted to know if his friend, the person that he calls brother, had anything to do with harming Michael. And this is what Dan asked, and this is what law enforcement told Dan. Right here. So let's just listen real quick. Hold on a second. Did I just mess up? It didn't share. Hold on one second, you guys. Let me get this back to where it needs to be. I don't know why tonight, you guys, but I'm nervous. I haven't been this nervous about a live in a long time. Second. There we go. Now I've got it. I don't know what happened. Let me rewind here just a little bit. The detective thought Brandon had anything to do.
And what part of it that he had to do with it? Yes, ma'am.
Right.
If he thought he had something to do with it, then I wanted to know if they wanted any more help, what part that they thought he had to do with it, if that she could tell me.
What'd she say?
I don't know if I should answer that, to be honest with you, with his legal stuff going on. I mean,
I have permission.
But to be honest with you, it's nothing no different than it was in some of the videos.
Right, and I actually have that video, so I will just add that. And
Yeah, you know, so I mean, I'm not really doing any injustice, or I'm not like spilling beans or being a fucking piece of shit either, because excuse my language. But at the same time, yeah, there's like several videos with the same comment on it. So you know what, Sam, I'll just tell you. So she told me, because I told her that it's been driving me nuts, and I needed to know where I stood with him, like personally in life. And it's been driving me nuts, and I've been trying, you know, because I had him out here with me for a while, and I was trying to help, and you know, I'd get him loose, and like I said, it was always like one of those in the ring would come around, and he'd get different, but I'd always get him there. I felt like where he wanted to do the right thing or be a different person, and then something would snap in him, and he just go right back to square one. Anyways, so she tells me that he helped bind him. About
trigger warning for everybody here, please protect your mental health. This is very disturbing, but it's also what we have heard from Stacy Wandra in his confession footage that was released by Brandy.
bound them up with duct tape, put them in a plastic bag, suffocated them.
And that information matches exactly what we saw in Stacy Wandra's confession footage. That's what law enforcement told him when he asked if his friend, if his brother, you know, had any involvement in any of this. You know, what do you got on him? And that's what they told Dan. So what I also want to do right now is I want to take a minute and talk about Eric Kisser. Honey, Allison's probably going to call you. I want to talk about Eric Kisser because that's who Brandon is with right now, and it's important to discuss this. Movement started after Brandon came up on my panel. I don't know what Brandon said or what sparked it up, but I know that movement started after that live. In my opinion, I think they heard something, maybe a contradiction. I'm not sure. Plus, something spooked Brandon because he leaves just days after that live that I had with him. He has Eric Kisser come and get him, and Dan says that they were leaving to go to Kalispell, Montana, to go snowmobiling. And Misty told me it was skiing, so I don't know. It's like, did he tell Dan snowmobiling and tell Misty he was going skiing? I don't know. But Kalispell is 333 miles, 5 hours away from Livingston, Montana. So what the hell? He's leaving Livingston to go to Kalispell, and his friend Eric drives from Post Falls, Idaho to Livingston to come and get Brandon and then drive all the way up. And Dan says that he's driving a white diesel truck. Do you know how many miles that is? I mean, yeah, let's listen to Dan here just talk about Kalispell too, because he even thought it was a little bit weird. Let's see. Yeah, I almost hit it on the spot right here.
Maybe that would have been the better option, hindsight being, but at the time is because I didn't want him to come back out here and use drugs and Misty. And
Right.
so I thought leaving,
like a 5-hour drive and like over 200 miles to like go get him too. So there was that.
and I was working, and I'll tell you, it was a couple of times he'd asked me to, And I was like, why don't you have your buddy bring you back over? And man, he came and got you knowing you got to bring you back, evidently. And so it was just kind of a weird situation. So I don't know if it's like he left to take off maybe, and then he wanted to leave. So he was like, come and get me. Because
Yeah.
why wouldn't your ride bring you back?
Right. And you've even told me whenever you try talking to Brandon or whatever, this guy Eric that he's with, which is his old landscaping buddy or whatever, he's acting like an ass on the phone and stuff when you guys are trying to have conversations.
When I just try to have I guess a heart to heart, like I still try to, any chance I get, I'm always questioning him and asking him stuff, or because I just want him either way. Everything needs to be corrected and rightened. I guess everything needs to be made right, and eventually it's gonna be made right. So,
and you're saying that like Eric is acting like he doesn't want Brandon talking to you on the phone, and he's even gotten mad and told Brandon, like, I'm gonna smack the piss out of you if you don't shut up.
I swear I've heard a couple smart ass comments like that before. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I was hearing.
Are you serious right now? Like Eric's telling Brandon, I'm gonna smack you if you don't shut up? What is Eric like Brandon's new keeper? We're gonna get into that a little bit more in a second.
And because I've gave, and then I started, like me and you talked about, but I don't want to bring it up because you told me not to use those, that situation.
Right.
But then I started teasing him, calling him broke. Yeah, so then I started teasing him about that. And then if you want to comment on that or something, maybe if somebody's asking.
No, we're not going to talk about that one.
Okay, so then, I started teasing him, what are you guys really doing kind of deal, And because, it sounded like, a couple over there. It sounded like if you're a bill collector and the husband's in the background yelling at you, like, oh, back in,
Right. Like he's with somebody that's just, like, what is it? Why doesn't he want, why, first of all,
I asked him if he's
didn't he bring him home? And then why doesn't he want anybody? He takes off with Eric. Eric comes and picks him up. Eric takes him supposedly snowmobiling and skiing 333 miles away from Livingston after already driving a couple of hours or so. Matter of fact, I'm not even sure how far away Post Falls, Idaho is from Livingston. And then that's what they go do. But then he won't bring Brandon home. And he doesn't like anybody talking to him on the phone. To talk, why doesn't he want Brandon talking with anybody? And then when you're talking to Brandon specifically about Michael or the case or whatever, he seems to even get a little bit more irritated with the situation and tells Brandon, be quiet, shut up, don't say nothing. And I think that stuff is suspicious. And I feel that way. I think that's really suspicious.
From both sides' point of view, I guess from a criminal side, I would say.
And I do find it very suspicious. It's hella suspicious to me that Eric doesn't want Brandon talking to anybody about Michael's case. Dan talks to Brandon and is always talking to him about the case. And here most recently, Dan's really been grilling on Brandon. And he was grilling on Brandon a couple of times when they were on the phone, and Eric did not like it. Why is that? I know exactly who Dan Kisser is. We've actually talked about him on one of my lives before. And because of the information that I know, is one of the reasons why I feel like, wow, what's going on here? So I'm going to explain that to everybody else because I want you guys to see what I'm seeing right now. And it could be something and it could be nothing, but I want to talk about it with you guys because I do feel like it is suspicious. So I did a live. I spoke about Eric. So let's go over that. Let me check out chat real quick. See if anything's going on over here. I really do appreciate you guys coming in. Little Kimmy, thank you for coming. Okay. Now, share my screen again. So why isn't it? Okay. So here we go. This is information. Honey, can you turn that TV down just a little bit more? Thank you. This is information that we went over and spoke about Eric in one of my other lives. The truth is about to get ugly and it's going to hurt Brandon. This was a while back ago when we went over quite a few people that Brandon hangs out with. But I'm going to start connecting the dots with some people. And since we're already going over a timeline of what he was doing on the 21st and 22nd, let's talk about what Brandon was doing within 48 hours of Michael's abduction, after his abduction, I should say. So 48 hours after Michael was abducted, this is what Brandon was doing. So let me just throw this up. I'm going to introduce you to Alex Goldston. Pretty good friend of Brandon's. We know that every time Brandon hold on one second. Let me throw this up. Every time Brandon changes his social media outlet anywhere, changes his profile or whatever, Alex is immediately added to his social media. We know that about Alex. They met around the time that Brandon started his landscape business in 2017. Brandon's landscape business was Bam Bam Rocks. Pretty sure that didn't really go nowhere. This is Brandon's Bam Bam Rocks. Actually, it's not. I thought it was, but it was Alex Goldston's record. We'll talk about that in a second too. Alex has been in the landscaping and concrete business. His business is Gold Standard Custom Concrete. Alex has a criminal history. This is his history. Sorry, this isn't the Bam Bam Landscape. Sorry. He has a criminal history, 43 cases. Says it right here, right up above, underneath these X's, underneath the blue. 43 cases, 3 protection orders. And I know one of those protection orders was issued during a criminal case, or maybe right after a criminal case that he was involved in. So we'll be talking more about Alex Goldston shortly. This is another friend of Brandon's. His name is Eric Kisser. Him and Brandon were first registered to the Bam Bam Rocks at Eric's residence. So they must have been pretty good friends. Brandon was comfortable enough with putting his business address at Eric's house. And now I have found out and been told that Eric ripped Brandon off thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And I should say tens of thousands of dollars. I don't want to give the exact amount, but tens of thousands of dollars. And yeah, this business didn't go anywhere pretty much because, you know, Eric's record, he's a thief. Then it looks like Eric moved on to Hidden Valley Landscape sometime after 2017. And Eric's been in trouble, of course, with the law. Theft, fraud, trespassing. Yeah. I don't think that any of these suspects have any friends that don't have criminal histories, if you ask me. Yaya's here. She's on vacation. She is taking a cruise. I'm so friggin' happy and jelly for you, girl. I hope you're having an amazing time. Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Tara's here. Nice to see you. Brandy says, Brandy, I'm done cooking dinner. Brandon, I'm done. Come up and chat. If you're too scared to talk with me, you can speak with Samantha one-on-one if you're scared to talk to me, or is it the truth? I am glad to talk to you, Brandon. The link is pinned to the top. If any of my mods want to grab that and share it again, I would appreciate it. But we got a mama here that wants to talk to you, Brandon. Eric, like I said, moves on to Hidden Valley Landscape sometime after 2017 and has a criminal history. So they've all been friends pretty much around the time of like 2017, give or take a year or so, maybe with Alex. I could not find anything prior to 2017, but that doesn't mean that they haven't been friends for a long time. So within 48 hours, so that is Eric Kisser. And Brandon goes out and hangs out with two landscapers, one being Eric, for hours, just a couple of days after Monkey's abduction. These are landscapers with excavation machinery. Eric moves rocks, huge rocks, giant rocks. Have to have excavation machinery in order to do that, digging machinery to do that. And we know that Brandon Shurtliff's dad has that kind of machinery also. And we also know that Brandon could get a hold of excavation machinery through his sister there in Idaho as well, because that's what he used when he had dug at his grandmother's cemetery when his grandfather passed away. And they hung out for hours, into the wee hours of the night, just 2 days after Michael was abducted. And now we know possibly murdered within that time frame. Now we know that law enforcement thinks that Brandon could have something to do with moving Monkey from the Wanderer's backyard. It's just crazy to me. Now Brandon's spooked, and the person he leaves with and disappears with is Eric. He's spooked in Livingston, Montana. And Eric, for some reason, seems to be this person monitoring Brandon or keeping him hostage. Misty said he kidnapped Brandon. She actually used that exact word. Like, it's almost like Brandon's been kidnapped, Sam. Brandon's mom even seems to think that he's being held captive. Captive were the exact words that she used. Dan said that Brandon mentioned or, you know, mention wanting or needing to do some kind of like rendezvous. What the hell? What does that even mean? Rendezvous? Like he needs to go meet up and meet with someone to like get away. What the hell does a rendezvous mean? Like, what in the heck is going on here? I mean, we know Brandon is talking, texting, Facebook messaging me, Dan. He hasn't said, like, hey, I've been kidnapped or like anything like that, but he has mentioned to Dan, like, possibly needing to do some kind of like rendezvous. Why do you, I don't understand that. The verbiage to me even sounds suspicious, almost like he's like trying to get away or something. And we know that Eric doesn't want anyone talking to Brandon. Eric didn't like it when Brandon spoke about Michael or his case to Dan, like at all. Why? Why is the person that Brandon was hanging out with 2 days after Monkey's abduction, why is Brandon with him now? This could be something, this could be nothing, but it's so highly suspicious to me to know that he's with Eric. I mean, and I'm just speculating here, but does Eric know anything, or is he involved with moving or burying Monkey? Did he help Brandon do something? Has Brandon spoke to him about anything that he has done? I mean, I spoke with somebody that I speak with all of the time about Monkey's case, and our biggest fear is if Eric, who's still doing landscaping, is involved, has been involved, because we know there's 4 suspects, but we also know JD Huffson mentioned there could be other people involved. And the biggest fear right now is Eric came and picked Brandon up and that they left to move Michael again. That's my biggest fear. And again, that's pure speculation. It's just a fear. Like, if that could have happened or not. And is that why Eric is keeping Brandon and not driving him back home? This guy is making it is, I just can't wrap my head around it, you guys. I cannot wrap my head around this. This is crazy to me. I mean, I don't know what everybody else thinks, but I mean, this is crazy. This is who comes to get him, takes him, driving all of these miles and miles and miles. I mean, if they even went 333 miles away up there. And then, so law enforcement goes to Montana. Well, actually, before I get into all of this, let's see what you guys are saying in chat, because I'm like, yeah, and happened after he was on my panel too. Exactly. Lots of things have been moving since then. I don't know if he incriminated himself or something when he was up on my panel. All I know is that shit started moving really, really quick after that. Kelly Dime, the fact that he doesn't want Brandon discussing it is an indication that he knows something, in her opinion. And Cinnamon Hot, thank you for coming in, agrees with her. It is really crazy. High possibility, Samantha. I feel like it's very strange. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And then, you know, Misty didn't say it while she was up on panel, but she has flat out told me that Brandon is hiding. Okay? And if she were to ever say otherwise, I have proof that she said it. So I'm just saying. She has flat out said Brandon is hiding. Why is Brandon hiding? And why is he hiding with Eric? Exactly, Trish. Thank you for coming in. Maybe Eric is afraid Brandon will talk. Eric did concrete work, right? No, Alex did the concrete work, I believe, and Eric did excavation and landscaping and did like really cool waterfalls on people's land, but he had excavation machinery in order to do all of that. And like I said, they all hung out together. Even Alex, 2 days after Michael's abduction, within a 48 period of time, they're all hanging out together for all hours of the night. What the heck were they doing? Like, yes, Rhiannon, you would think that Eric wouldn't want Brandon around with the law chasing him. Exactly. So goodness. Sorry, I'm just like reading everybody's chat and stuff. And then here recently, last week, you know, they give Brandon 48 hours. And from what I've been told last week, Brandon was working and went in to rent some kind of tractor or excavator machinery or something using his photo ID. And LE found out about it. And then LE thought Brandon would be bringing it back, but his co-worker brought the machinery back. The co-worker was surrounded by LE, from what I was told. So Brandon got lucky. And I don't know where this took place. I haven't been able to verify it. But Dan and I both have talked to Brandon, and I can tell you what Brandon said to me. Let me see. This was the message between Brandon and I. I said I heard the cops surrounded the wrong guy last week. LOL. That was some scary or crazy ass luck. He said, no kidding, perfecto, Sam. I said, I'm honestly just teasing when I shouldn't be. I'm sure that freaked you out some. So what was in the plea agreement, because I keep asking him about the plea agreement and he won't talk to me about it. And he said, see, when one doesn't do said crime I keep being accused of, it's time to go to war, is all I can say. Nothing. And then later on he said something like stop, drop, and roll. So they are definitely keeping an eye on Brandon. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy to sit here and talk I don't know if there's an official warrant for his arrest, but I know that they said they were going to come back with a warrant. And I'm assuming if they were surrounding this person, this co-worker of Brandon's, and was going to arrest him, then a warrant has been put out. I'm assuming. I think his, the way he answered that perfecto, Sam, I don't know what to take out of that. I think it's really strange. Brandon has mentioned to Dan Kalispell. And we know that that's 333 miles away, a 5-hour drive from Livingston. And then we know that Brandon talked to Dan about Dan coming and picking him up in Missoula. Kalispell to Missoula is 117 miles, so that's a 2-hour drive. And that's where he wanted Dan to pick him up. Brandon's talked about Kellogg, Idaho. And then Kellogg, Idaho to Post Falls, where Eric lives, is about 46 minutes. And then Post Falls to Spokane, Washington, is about 24 minutes, or 24 miles and 30 minutes. And it seems like he's been traveling around this I-90 corridor, this I-90 freeway, from Missoula all the way to Spokane, Washington. We believe that Brandon is working with Eric in Post Falls and the surrounding areas. Does law enforcement know where Brandon is? I think they know where he is. They must have been keeping an eye on him if they know he came in to rent, machinery. Again, have not been able to verify that particular information. That was last week, though. I heard it was like Thursday, Friday night last week. And I heard that information from Misty. And so far, she has not lied to me about the important things. So I believe that law enforcement knows. And if law enforcement doesn't know where Brandon is, then we all need to be keeping our eye out for Brandon. And then if you see Brandon, call the tip line. (208-642-6006) or email findmichael@futland.org. And yeah, if you see Brandon, turn it in. Again, let me put this up. Whether it's in Kellogg, Post Falls, Spokane, Washington, Missoula, Montana, please call the Fruitland Police tip line at 208-642-6006 or email findmichael@fruitland.org. Because Brandon thinks he's hiding. And he's not. He sent me a message talking about motocrossing and, how he was going to start doing motocross and everything else. And then I started having a conversation with someone and they're like, you do know that Brandon hung out in Spokane before with all of his motocross buddies, right? So I started looking up motocross stuff. Airway Motocross Park Official Facebook group. And then it was really crazy because that green right up there, right underneath it, that little round circle is Brandon Shurtliff. He likes this Airway Motocross Park. This is him liking the Airway Motocross Park official in Spokane, Washington. And it was just so funny that he just mentioned to me motocross. And then I found the name of one of his friends, Ryan, who is into motocross. Brandon is right here at the bottom, 100%. 100% talking to his buddy. This was a week ago when I took this screenshot. So I took the screenshot like 3 days ago. Excuse me, maybe 2 actually. And so it's only been a week since he's like talking to his motocross buddy on his Facebook. And his buddy is posting on the Airway Motocross Park official website there on Facebook, or not official website, but so Ryan Brees, you're hanging out with somebody that's probably wanted by law enforcement right now. Just saying. And there he is down at the bottom with his little pool table green thing from Facebook. Friends with the motocross. It was not too hard. This is a post by Ryan sharing motocross that was going on just March 29th. You guys know how long it took me to find out that information? Maybe 5 minutes. If I can find out that information in 5 minutes, do you guys really think law enforcement can't find Brandon? Because I don't. I think law enforcement can definitely find him if I can find him in 5 minutes. So again, if you're anywhere from Missoula, Montana, down the I-90 corridor from Kellogg all the way to Post Falls, Idaho, or in Spokane, Washington, please call law enforcement with a tip if you see Brandon. The tip line is 208-642-6006, or you can email findmichael@fruitland.org. Let me just play this from the beginning, because I want everybody to know what Brandon looks like in case you see him. I actually should have tried pulling up a picture of Eric too. I did just show him a while ago though. Driving around in a flatbed flatbed white diesel truck, from what I understand. That's what Eric drives. Let me see something here. Check chat, because I know everybody's going a little crazy in chat right now. Okay, let me get back over here. Give me 1 second, everybody. Oops, there we go. Kimberly, thank you for coming in and giving a super sticker. Thank you so much for being super, for being here and supporting the Vaughan family. Talk about things and share things that I'm not supposed to talk about or share things. I'm just saying. And then I know a lot of you guys, let me see. Well, law enforcement knows exactly where Adrian is. I know that for a fact. He ain't hiding nowhere. I'm not even saying law enforcement doesn't know exactly where Brandon is. I know they've been quite busy lately. And apparently they tried to get Brandon last week. Again, haven't been able to verify that. Samantha, when you get a chance, can you do a short wanted Brandon so that we can share on social media? Yeah, why not? I'll get permission first, though. We will see. I don't know. You know, also, from what I understand, Dan was saying last night that even though he's working for Eric, he doesn't seem to be getting the money that he's supposed to be getting while he's working with Brandon. And now I'm going to talk about something that I'm pretty sure that everybody here wants to hear, because I'm pretty sure that everybody wants to talk about this secret search by law enforcement. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm so nervous, is because I'm talking, you know, about a search for Monkey. And I've never done that before. I have talked about many searches in Kyron Horman's case, but not for Michael. So shortly after law enforcement left Montana, they started talking to Bonnie Locks, which is Brandon Shurtliff's grandmother. She is the one who owns Mountain View Green Cemetery. And on March 24th, the search began at Brandon's grandmother's / Tina's cemetery at the Green Cemetery. Now, I'm going to play this real quick. And yes, this information has been verified.
Dug at Brandon's grandma's cemetery.
Yes.
What did they go over to Brandon's mom's house for last night?
To get the discovery from her, or whatever. Like I said, she's the caretaker of her mom's property and stuff.
What's Brandon saying about all of this?
He was freaking out that they went to his mom's house last night.
What did he say about them going out to his grandmother's graveyard?
That's why he freaked the fuck out. I guess he was mad as a hornet at his mom yesterday, because she called me after it. It was like a 2-hour thing, a 3-hour thing with them going over the stuff.
That's what I was told by Misty. I was told a lot more, but after doing some digging, have been able to verify that they did search Mountain View Green Cemetery. Now, let me just share my screen right here, because I want to talk to you guys about this cemetery. It is one of those all-natural cemeteries. This is some information that I found about the cemetery. So I'm not sure how to pronounce this. Is it Limhi County couple, God said, Bill Green Cemetery on Leador Ranch. On a ranch 7 miles of Leadore, population 105, a couple opening a first of its kind green cemetery. Nothing unnatural will be used in the burial process, not even wooden caskets. This body, this is not us, this is just where we live, said rancher Jim Locke. He said the idea of having bodies in his backyard isn't anything to worry about. As far as having a body back here, it's no different than having a piece of sagebrush or anything, he said. The decision to build a totally green cemetery on his ranch came after Locke, which is Bonnie Locke's husband, to top off the hill on his property one day. He looked at the ranch below and asked God what to do with all this extra space. The Lord is very important to us, he said. Without him, there's nothing. He's the one who has given us all this property here. Locke's wife, Bonnie, said God's answer was unexpected. Who would have thought that would have happened to us? She smiled and said jokingly. Locke told us God said to create a place of peace at the ranch. He told Locke to build a cemetery like no other in the state of Idaho. Locke said he got to work right away to build a completely natural cemetery that no man-made influences. He said it will be called the Mountain View Green Cemetery, and it will sit on a large bluff overlooking the ranch. And I believe this place is like 300 acres. It'll be nice to have families come and hear the lowing of cattle. And Bonnie Locke, as she pointed out into the field where her husband plans to dig plots. The Locke said 1 completely green burials will be performed at the cemetery. Headstones will be carved from native rock, caskets fashioned from cardboard, and embalming fluids are banned. And we had wondered if they were using any kind of materials at all around the bodies, and it looks like cardboard's used here, but no embalming fluid. So as the body decays, it becomes back up and feeds and fertilizes the grass and sagebrush, said Locke. The Lockes have lived at the ranch since the 1960s. Locke said the land is part of them and perhaps a part of all of us. We're turning things back to the earth, and it's supposed to be, he said. Like it's supposed to be. The Lockes said the burial cost of Mountain View Green Cemetery will be considerably lower than at a regular cemetery or a funeral home. In addition to human burials, the cemetery will also offer green pet burial, and Locke said he has already had a lot of inquiries. Sorry. And then if you want to see it, I also have this video. I know everybody here is like, oh my God, which was exactly, that was exactly how I acted also. This is the Greenway Cemetery, because we know that around the time that Stacy and Sarah Wander take their trip to Texas, Brandon has to bury his grandfather. Dan also, him and I had spoken and had a conversation. I mean, look at all this land. It says no mortician needed. Yeah, it's just showing, the property, and it is huge. Like I said, I believe it's like 300 acres. There is a river that runs through, like down the other side of the road from where Bonnie, Brandon's grandmother, lives. It seems like Tina Muriel was working with the police. Now, I don't know any information on whether there was a warrant to search it, whether they just gave permission to search it, how any of that went down, but I do know that it was searched. You know, had a conversation with Dan, and he told me that Brandon had broken down and told him also about having to bury his stepdad, which would be Tina Muriel's husband, Richard Muriel. I could find no information about Richard Muriel passing. I thought that was very strange. If anybody finds that information, I'd really like to know. Because did he bury his grandfather and his stepdad? And if he didn't bury his stepdad, why is he telling Dan that he did? I have no clue whatsoever what brought them to the cemetery, if it was a tip, if it was family members talking, if Brandon himself said something. Have no clue why. Will do, Sarah. Thank you. But many people, Sarah, have looked, and we can't find anything on a stepdad passing. I don't know if it's another stepdad or what. We've even had somebody look at a family tree trying to figure out, what stepdad was Brandon talking about. But the fact is that they went and searched the cemetery. And I know months and months and months back, I talked about this before on one of my lives. And I almost did a live, and then I was told, don't do that live yet. Law enforcement's been thinking about going out there and doing some kind of search out there. But this was like months and months and months and months ago. So I don't know why it all shifted and movement started there. Halo, good question. I know you guys are probably all waiting for this answer. So, did they find any evidence? We're not privy, and I know you guys are going to hate hearing this, but we're not privy to any of that information. I do not know if they found Michael. I do not know if they found any evidence out there. We do not know if, how can I put this? If they did find something, they would have to analyze it, test it, and do all of those things, and that could take a long time. But as far as I know, the search ended around the beginning of the month. I never got a specific time when it ended, but it started on around March 24th or on March 24th and went until the beginning of April, from what I understand. So, yeah. And I mean, here you have law enforcement going all the way to Montana to get Brandon to sign this plea deal that he doesn't want to sign. And people are asking, well, do they have evidence, to prove first-degree murder? Do they have evidence that Brandon had anything to do with moving Michael? Well, my question now is I mean, when you're going to go and dig at a cemetery, what kind of evidence did they have that led them there? Obviously, they are finding things out about Brandon Shurtliff, and it's going down. I believe they have something, because they ain't going to start wasting their time with all of this stuff. They're spending a lot of time, money, effort, everything. And Fruitland's this little bitty tiny little sheriff's office. And so many people have spoken about it. I'm sitting here watching it. And let me see what Kelly has to say real quick. Hold on. If the plea deal states first-degree murder, they should have evidence that point to that. Exactly. And if they go and they're going to go search, or they're going to go dig and look at a cemetery, they had to have something to go there. Something. You know, that's a lawsuit waiting to happen if they didn't have something. I'm just saying. I mean, that's just fact. Nikki says, what plea deal? Brandon was offered a plea deal March 8th. Law enforcement, the state's prosecutor, the local Livingston, Montana Sheriff's Office went and talked to Brandon's girlfriend and his employer/family friend to find Brandon, to go up there to see Brandon, but he had already left. He's been in hiding. Do they know where he's at? I don't know, but they offered him a plea deal. You know, sign this, we'll take the death penalty off of the table. If you don't sign this, we're coming back, we're going to arrest you, and you're going down for first-degree murder. That was the plea deal. And he didn't sign it. See. Let me see what else. Yeah, a lot of people are sitting here talking about they just knew it. This was the place they needed to go. Yeah, it's crazy. But I'm hoping and praying something came out of it. If they didn't find Michael, hopefully they found something else. Sorry, I'm just like looking through chat. Chuck Anderson's daughter, good to see you. Thank you for all of your hard work that you have put into this case. People do not realize the hours you have spent to do research and prepare for these interviews. Hours and hours, hundreds and hundreds of hours. And I do it all for Brandy and the Vaughan family, and I do it for Monkey. They are what matters to me. I want Michael shared everywhere. I want Michael found. I am never going to give up. Brandy knows it. Brandy knows she cannot get rid of me if she wanted me, if she wanted to. She knows I'm not going anywhere. I'm so invested in this case. I can't. It's just so very near and dear to my heart. And I feel grateful to be part of Monkey's army. I feel, I was welcomed by many people here on the YouTube streets, and I have appreciated everybody so very much that have supported me and stuff. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. I know there are so much in chat. Do I keep going through chat? Yeah, we're just not privy to the information. I really wish that I knew more. But the thing is, we have Brandon's girlfriend talking. We have Brandon's friend, he's been a very good friend of Brandon's for a long time now, talking. Now, being able to give permission to talk about this and this information was killing me. I wanted to talk about it so bad, but I won't talk about it until I'm told I can talk about it. And this has truly been like one of the biggest movements besides Brandon's plea deal, but the biggest movements that we have seen in Monkey's case in a while. And I'm really thankful that, law enforcement is moving and moving fast. The last couple of months has been insane. like I said, after my live with Brandon Shurtliff, a lot of stuff came out. And, you know, I also have a recording that I have of me and Brandon speaking the day before I did the live. And I want to release that. So hopefully I'll get permission to be able to release that soon, because I want to release that and compare it to what he said on the live. Because I'm telling you guys right now, there are many, many, many contradictions. Oh, thank you so much, Halo Art. Thank you, Sam. We love you so much and are grateful you are keeping light on Michael's case. You know, there are a lot of people in Monkey's Army and a lot of people that do a lot of hard work. You know, Purple does Monkey Mondays every Monday, and has been. You know, I've only been on this case for like a year and a half. I'm pretty sure Purple's been doing this since the very beginning. You know, but we just all have to keep sharing Monkey, because charges have been written up on all 4 suspects. This is not going away. And you can tell by the way law enforcement is moving that it's not going away. And I hate to say it this way, but the more sick Brandy gets, I think it's just lighting more of a fire under law enforcement's ass to really, really, really find Michael. They really want to find him. I think that's what this holdup's been this whole time about, you know, why hasn't the DA released those charges yet? Well, I think it's because they had this in mind. They knew they were going to, you know, release, or not release, I'm sorry. I think that they knew that what they were going to be doing. I think that they had a plan to go find Monkey, and, you know, they went up and searched. I wish I knew more about it. I really do. I'm going to go way up here and chat because y'all are flying by, because I want to see what everybody's saying. Toaster, I don't even know that I even saw you for the super sticker. Thank you so much. Super. I mean, like I said 1,000 times, I can't do this without you. And I wish I could give like a lot more specifics when it comes to the dates, times, you know, what machinery they used and all of that, but we're just not privileged to any of this information. They are going to keep all of this information very, very, very close to the vest. They really are. You know, me and Brandy, sometimes when we're talking, are you talking about this? And I'm like, well, I don't know if you know what I know, and she don't know, you know, what I know. So we just don't talk about things. Isn't this working? Okay. Opal says, I remember when we started looking into the Green Cemetery. Yeah, and I mean, a lot of creators were told not to talk about it yet. A lot of creators were like, okay, we'll hold up. And then it became at some point that we eventually just ended up talking about it because it's strange and unusual when you have suspects. So this is a picture of the Mountain View Green Cemetery. The front, there's like a little dove here. This is another, you know, thing outside the fence for Mountain View Green Cemetery. I just want to show you guys a few things real quick. You know, when he was talking, Mr. Locke, about, you know, what they wanted to do there and stuff for this green, you know, this is what they were talking about, using different rocks and stuff. This one's painted, the other one was carved. These were like the their tombstones, so to say, being used. Like, and this one's pretty cool. They were able to like fasten down, drill into, and put like a little plaque on top of a stone here for somebody else's headstone. We just, like I just found out today that they did use cardboard. I was wondering if they were wrapping people up in like a material or something, but they are using cardboard that will dissolve, that will allow the land to basically soak in, all the nutrients and stuff and grow. I think it's very beautiful. I would love something like this, actually, to be put in a place like this. So again, this is Mountain View Green Cemetery. There's a little dove with a little, what is it? Oh, I can't remember the name. A sprig? Maybe a sprig from a sprig tree? I can't remember. I was so nervous to do this. I was just so nervous. I don't even know why I was nervous. A frig or a sprig? Olive branch. I think it is an olive branch. I looked this up once before. Thank you, Halo Art. Yes, an olive branch. That stupid dove is an alive branch. Yeah, so there's the dove, there's the branch. And here's Brandon Shurtliff updating his profile picture with a dove and an olive branch. This was on February 17th, but doesn't say the year. And why does Brandon have a dark-skinned man that's supposed to represent him as a profile picture? Pretty strange. But to make it even more strange, tell me why Stacy Wandra decided on November 21st of 2021 to add the same damn dove and olive branch to his profile picture. Fig, I mean. Oh, Brokenhearted said fig instead of frig. Yeah, I used to say frig all the time when I got mad. My dad used to say it too. Yeah, but I think when I looked it up, it was an olive branch. I mean, you can even look it up and Google it. I'm half tempted to do it right now, and somebody keeps blowing me up. Who's blowing me up? I got to make sure. Okay. So yeah, Stacy Wandra with a dove and an olive branch, and Brandon Shurtliff. Isn't it weird? And I had this from the other live that I did talking about this because I already thought that this was so suspicious. Yeah, they like that dove and the olive branch. Does it mean anything? I don't know. But the fact that it's the same. Yes, Rizzo, it is. It's creepy. RSO is registered as offender. So then I still haven't saved because I save everything. This is the paperwork that, whoops, I need to go way over here. Why did that go back here? This is the paperwork to show that after, or in 2024, I believe, I'm not really sure, or if it was right after, because I cannot read this right now, but I just wanted to put it up here. Yeah, you could definitely see why the cemetery was even brought up to begin with. Exactly. But this is to show that Tina Marill inherits the Green Cemetery after her father passed away. I don't know if that was her real father or stepfather, adoptive father. I don't know that kind of information, but she did inherit that. She is the caretaker. And again, if you would like to hear it, and let me look real quick. I did write something else down earlier, and now I can't find it. Because I wanted to talk about the fact that... Hold on, let me find it. My paperwork got all messed up. Did I write it on something else? Did I write it on this? Sorry, I talked to myself when I'm thinking. It's not on that one. But hours talking with Tina Marill. I do not know where the hell it is. But I did look up some information because I was wanting to know. Let's listen to what Misty has to say again real quick. Let you guys hear it again.
At Brandon's grandma's cemetery.
Yes.
What did they go over to Brandon's mom's house for last night?
To get the discovery from her, or whatever, like.
The discovery. I looked up earlier what a discovery was, what it meant. Let me just look it up again. Discovery aims to ensure fair... Wait. That is not what I found earlier. Legal cases, discovery refers to formal process of parties exchanging information. Out of court, it can mean sworn statements given by parties or witnesses under oath. It actually can mean a lot of things, actually. But crime report, basically, yeah. Exactly, Little Kim. Matter of fact, I was thinking the same thing and looked up. You said exactly what I said. Yeah, like basically like a crime report. So that's what Misty said, that when her and Brandon's mom talked, that she's the one who told Misty all of this information about, the cops coming over to the house, them being there a few hours, and her having to just sign this discovery, this paperwork of whatnot. And I'm assuming that's because she's the boss now of the cemetery. She inherited it. Oh, sorry.
She's the caretaker of her mom's property and stuff.
What's Brandon saying about all of this?
He was freaking out that they went to his mom's house last night.
What did he say about them going out to his grandmother's graveyard?
That's why he freaked the fuck out. I guess,
Yeah. Brandon freaked the F out. Yeah, I can see that. And he was acting very strange anyway, and then after this, it just got stranger. When he found out they went out there, and he was really pissed off at his mom for signing that paperwork. He was pissed off at his mom for talking to law enforcement. Why was Brandon mad at his mom?
He was mad as a hornet at his mom yesterday because she called me after it. It was like a 2-hour thing, a 3-hour thing with them going over the stuff.
Rainy Day says anytime there's a search warrant, they have to give the discovery to the landowner or homeowner. Well, that's good to know. Yeah, that could be what it is. Why is it taking so long to arrest? My guess is because they are looking for a monkey. I'm glad I just played that again, Avery, or Avy. Yeah, they, thank you for coming in, honey. Yeah, they searched the Mountain View Green Cemetery around, from what I understand, it was March 24th, could be around March 24th, and they stopped looking at the beginning of the month sometime. Don't know that whether they found anything or not of evidence or Michael or anything. We're not privy to any of that information. Yeah, why was he mad? Why was he mad? Justice is coming. They're not effing around, man. They aren't just going to keep, you know, you don't just take a plane to Montana. You don't just stay in hotels. You just don't offer up a plea deal to take away the death penalty. You don't say you're going to come back with a warrant. You don't go search. I mean, searching his grandmother's cemetery, his mom and grandmother's cemetery, his family's cemetery. Can I look at what Halo art? Tell me what you're talking about. Looking for any and all information regarding all of this. All I know is I can tell you that I verified it, and I will continue to keep looking to find out what exactly happened. Can you look Sam Brandon's pool picture? That is, his pool picture is coming up right here. I wish I could blow that up a little bit. I'm not sure how to do that. But that is his pool picture. He has been up and along the whole I-90 corridor, I-90 interstate corridor from Missoula, Montana, all the way to Post Falls, Idaho, through Kellogg, through all the other cities across Idaho. This is like northern Idaho, and going back from Post Falls, Idaho to Spokane, Washington. And the thing is, you know, he's not going any further than Spokane, Washington, and taking I-90 all the way in and into Seattle and everything else because of the great big mountains that are up here in Washington. Washington's where I live. And yeah, pretty sure there's probably still snow, lots of it. And that's a long ways to travel. You know, he's hanging out with his motocross buddies. He's messaging me about, I can tell you guys right now what he told me about motocross. I mean, to just randomly have him talk to me about motocross, I was just like, what? He says, I'm a motocross racer. I'm going to make it one day. And I said, have you been racing? And he says, and look forward to less wrecks in the future, but not lately. And I said, I didn't know that about you. And he said, yep. And then I said, I heard the cops surrounded the wrong guy last week. I said, that's some crazy ass luck. And he said, no kidding, perfecto, Sam. Because last week he took his identification and went into, you know, a place to rent machinery like tractors, excavators, and everything else to go rent something to do some landscaping. And the police thought that he was probably going to be the one who come back and return it, but he wasn't. It was his coworker, and cops surrounded this coworker. thinking and that it was going to be Brandon. So as far as people asking, like, is there a warrant written out for Brandon? I would assume yes, if that is true and that they were going to arrest him. I mean, Misty said that this is what Brandon told her, and he told me perfecto Sam. I mean, that's about as close as I can get to verifying anything. I think, yeah. Zane, thank you for coming in, says, I'm honestly surprised Brandon is still talking to people after that. Yeah, exactly. But I also think that Brandon is on lots and lots of drugs right now. He has gone very manic on his Facebook. I don't know for a fact that he is. I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm just speculating that he is because of the way that he's acting, like very manic on his Facebook, his posts, the things that he's saying is just weird. It doesn't make sense. He's talking about getting a new Honda. He's talking about getting a Nissan, getting a new car, doing this, doing that. And yeah, I'm a motocross racer. I do not know what's going on with him, but you know, his girlfriend and Dan coming on, now this coming out, just puts so much pressure on him. That's how I feel, Julia. The cops are just playing with him and they know exactly where he is. They're probably just hoping that he's going to do something and mess up. Exactly, Zane Lily. This is my beautiful admin from my Facebook groups, and she says, well, Dan did allude to Brandon having recently been doing math with Misty. We're going to just call it that. Halo thinks that that's why he's so skinny in the picture walking around in the neighborhood. Yeah, I'm excited for any more new information to come out, honestly, about everything. Just reading through chat a little bit. Yeah, Brandon took off. He took off from Livingston, Montana. Said he was going to go snowmobiling in Kalispell, Montana, which is 333 miles away from Livingston, Montana. And his friend Eric came and picked him up, and Eric's from Post Falls, Idaho. So Eric drove all of that way in a diesel truck to pick him up in Livingston, and then drove 5 more hours to go to Kalispell. That's just crazy. And then Brandon mentions Kellogg, Idaho, which is another 128 miles. And then from Kellogg to Post Falls is another, 50 miles. But Post Falls, Idaho to Spokane, where he keeps going back and forth, is only 24 miles. It's like a 30-minute drive. So, I mean, like and all of this, it's all along this Interstate 90 corridor. Didn't Brandon admit to doing a lot of stuff during the time that Michael went missing? Yes, he was. He was doing that. And I don't think he had to say that. I think we just all knew that he was. I mean, it was just a fact. They were under the influence for sure. What did Halo Art find? They aren't the sharpest crayons, that's for sure. No, they're not. Kalispell is a lot like the PNW, but with bigger mountains. Yeah, and Dan mentioned something about like he could be going skiing and snowmobiling in the area here in Livingston. Why is he going 333 miles away? I don't even know that I believe that he even went up there to go snowmobiling and skiing, to be honest. I think his buddy Eric came and picked him up. Eric and him have known each other for a long time, and Eric is the guy that Brandon was hanging out with just 2 days after Michael's abduction. And Eric doesn't seem to like Brandon talking about Monkey's case with anybody, doesn't like him talking to anybody. I'm just repeating some of the things we went over earlier for people that are coming in, because Misty literally says, I don't even know. It's like, Eric kidnapped him or something. And even Brandon's own mom feels like he's being held captive or something. He told Misty that he had an attorney and that, he was going to go talk to law enforcement. Misty said, your mom could go. So it was supposed to be law enforcement and his mom going down to Fruitland to talk. That hasn't happened yet. Is that because Eric doesn't want him to go? What does Eric know? Mama in the house right now, stopping into the show to show some love. Been very busy today. Brandon, I have a few friends that are semi-pro motocross racers. They also have their own tracks in Washington. Good to know. I was even thinking as I was putting this live together and stuff, Brandy, that it's not going to be a bad idea to hop on that Facebook at that motocross where I'm pretty sure he's hanging out, letting everybody know to call law enforcement, call the tip line, 208-642-6006, or email findmichael@fruitland.org, and just put it up in that Facebook that if you see him, call it in. Because, warrants, Brandon also has a warrant for his arrest in Idaho. So there's also that. And he has to spend 30 days no matter what, because he was supposed to do some things that I think it was like 15 days work crew or whatever that he never ended up doing. So they put a warrant for his arrest. So if you see him in Idaho, you can even call 911 and tell him, he is wanted. And I'll share everything having to do with this motocross place one more time. It is, let me rewind this, because I don't think it's a bad idea. Why not let the Airway Motocross Park official in Spokane, Washington know that law enforcement could be looking for Brandon Shurtliff. And this is Brandon Shurtliff. You need to come forward, Brandon. I have a feeling a lot of people are going to be looking for you. He's probably so pissed off at me right now, but right now I don't even give two shits, honestly. He hasn't been really giving out any information. Nothing that he says has been making sense. I'm tired of messing around with him. If I'm going to ask you a question, like answer the question, don't hem-haw around it. Just talk to me. He's doing the same thing with Dan. So at this point, I don't even care if it ruins a relationship. And Brandon, if you want to talk to me, I'm here. Brandy says, much love, everyone. Justice is coming. Keep the faith in LE and Mike Duke's office. And we are, Brandy, we all believe that justice is coming for Monkey. I'm praying for you every day, sweetheart. We love you so much. Thank you for coming in and saying hi. I want to see if she said anything else. Thank you guys all for saying hi. You know, I know she appreciates and she's so grateful for anything having to do with Monkey on YouTube, anywhere else. She just wants Michael's name shared, his story shared, and Michael home. The whole Vaughan family wants Monkey home. Where's Michael, Brandon? Law enforcement seems to think that you know exactly where he's at. I wonder if that plea deal is still available for you. Time's running out. That's for sure. Time's running out before they put cuffs on you, and I think you already know that. You've gotten a little bit crazy lately. Since they accidentally tried to arrest your coworker. She is a warrior. Brandy is a friggin' rock star, warrior, you name it. She is fighting every single day. Justice is coming, sweet warrior mama. Well, I know some very kind racers up there. One of my favorite riders is now a preacher as well. Maybe you would like to meet them. I'll send that information to that community. Damn, she coming after you, Brandon. Brandy Neil Vaughan ain't messing around. You might just want to go to Futland and talk to somebody. Brandy also says, have a wonderful evening, everybody. I will be in touch. Please, everybody, keep sharing Michael's beautiful face. Don't forget, we can all go blow up this raceway on Facebook. Airway Motocross Park Official in Spokane, Washington. Very, very easy for me to find. Heck, maybe we can even contact his friend. Ryan Burris. You know, and he has multiple friends there, from what I understand. He hangs out with like a group of motocross. Don't harass, though. Air Curlers and Crime says, hang in there, Brandy. Justice is on the way for Michael. We're just never going to stop. You can run, but you can't hide. Guarantee you. And you know, if you are being held captive, if you are, kidnapped or whatever, maybe you do need to find somebody and do that rendezvous so you can get the hell out of Dodge. No, Eric is not in the Futland area. He used to be in the area, but no. He was in the area when Michael first was abducted, but he has since moved north, Post Falls, Idaho, from what I understand. Yeah, there's nothing that, they can do to keep Monkey's army from fighting for justice, that's for sure. It's just never going to happen. Michael Joseph Vaughan was abducted on July 27th, 2021. He was 5 years old. He was abducted from Futland, Idaho, in his neighborhood. There are 4 named suspects in Michael Joseph Vaughan's abduction and murder, and their names are Stacy and Sarah Wandra, Adrian Lucian, and Brandon Shurtliff. That was updated January 10th, 2025. If anybody has a tip about Michael's abduction, if anybody has a tip involving Monkey's case, please call the tip line in Fruitland at 208-642-6006 or email findmichael@fruitland.org. No tip is too small. If you know where Brandon Shurtliff is, this is the guy at the bottom on the right on this flyer. If you know where Brandon Shurtliff is, please call the Fruitland tip line at 208-642-6006 or email findmichael@fruitland.org. And I'm not saying law enforcement doesn't know where he's at. I believe that they do. But, if why not give them some help just in case? We are never going to stop. Bring Michael home. Justice for Michael. Let law enforcement decide if the tip is credible. You could think it's a small tip, but it could be a big tip. And law enforcement needs any and all tips. It makes Monkey's case so much stronger. And we already know that the district attorney has talked to the Vaughan family and told them that charges are coming on all 4 suspects. So we know those arrests are coming. Right now, I'm starting to believe that one of the reasons why they haven't arrested anybody or charged anybody is because they had plans to look for Michael first. And I'm not privy to any information on whether or not they found Michael, but I hope they have something, anything, that can bring justice to Michael's family and to Monkey. It's just so important to share Michael's story, especially right now when there's movement in Michael's case. Please take a flyer from online and, share it. Whatever social media platform you're on all the time or on all of your social media platforms. And, maybe even start posting this flyer in places that we know Brandon could be. Post Falls, Idaho, Spokane, Washington, Kellogg, Idaho, Missoula, Montana, Livingston, Montana. Just think Interstate 90 because it goes all the way from Montana all the way into Washington State. I can't either. I cannot wait to hear that he's been caught, arrested, charged, and if he don't sign that plea deal, if it's even on the table, gonna spend the rest of his life in prison right along with the rest of them. And probably gonna get the DP, which is a firing squad from what I understand. Good night, Renee. Thank you for coming in. It has been a long couple of months. All of the new movement and everything. Yeah, it's just been so crazy in my life. I cannot wait to go on my vacation this week and, take a little bit of a break. I know I really need it, so I will be coming back and going live next week. I don't know if it will be Monday because I might need to recover from my vacation. But I will be doing more lives next week. There's a lot of stuff that we have talked about going over. We've talked about going back over Stacey Wandra's confessions. We have talked about going over Brandon Shurtliff's live that he did with me because we've still not gone over that. And I'm hoping I can release the recording that I have of me and Brandon's phone conversation the day before that live because, damn, the contradictions are huge. So lots of stuff coming. And I'm just going to keep going and going and going and keeping Monkey out there, keeping the awareness going, keeping his name alive. And I appreciate it. The Vaughan family appreciates everybody that comes in to the lives and into chat that shares Michael's story and his beautiful face, like his mama says, because it all matters. Oh, thank you, Mama B. I will. I'm going to the beach, and it's my home away from home. Again, if you have any information, you can remain anonymous. You can collect over $52,000 for the whereabouts of Michael Joseph Vaughan. Please, please come forward with any information that you have. Call law enforcement if you see Brandon Shurtliff, 208-642-6006, or email findmichael@fruitland.org. We're not going to let you hide, Brandon. If law enforcement doesn't know where you're at, they're about to. And here is a message from Brandy Neal Vaughan.
And Brandon, you know what happened to our beautiful baby. Whether you were directly involved, but you know. You need to start talking. You need to come forward. Quit lying, quit hiding. Please tell us where Michael is. Let our family have some rest, please. Let us bring our baby home. We've worked tirelessly, endlessly. Law enforcement, stop protecting these criminals. It's time to tell the truth. It's time to own up. It's time to find Michael and bring him home and stop your BS.
Yeah, it's time to stop the BS. One of those suspects, Stacy Wander, Sarah Wander, Adrian Lucian, Brandon Shurtliff, one of them abducted Michael, one of them buried Michael in the backyard at the Wander's house, one of them murdered Michael, and one of them moved Michael. And when I say one, it could be two, it could be three, they could have all done it at the same time, who knows, but they all know something, they all have knowledge, and that's what law enforcement has told us. They have knowledge, and they're all suspects, prime suspects, as of January 10th, 2025. And just to give you guys a little bit of perspective also of like the area and stuff, like this is crazy. This right here is Missoula in the center of the screen. Hold on just a second, trying to. You have Missoula right here at the center of your screen. That's where Brandon wanted Dan to pick him up. But he told Dan he was going to Kalispell. So let's just take a cruise up here. Show you guys how far away Kalispell is. Because it's crazy. All the terrain, I mean all the white, that's all snow caps. Because it's crazy insane up here. 333 miles away. Past this gigantic lake. And here's Kalispell. Right here. That's a long ass way away. Why was he going there? Of all places. Was he really going skiing? Was he really going to go snowmobiling? I don't know about that. In a diesel truck with gas prices as high as they are, Eric decides I'm just, and during a phone conversation that I had with Misty, she told me Brandon didn't even know that Eric was coming to get him. Now, I don't know if Brandon said that or what, but that's kind of strange. Did Eric really just come in to Livingston, Montana and pick him up? Then, so again, you have Missoula right here. This is Interstate 90. Let's travel Interstate 90. This right here is Interstate 90. We're going to go through Westview Park, D. Smith, Y, Frenchtown, Sudan, Lothrop, Alberton. What is this? CYR, Cry or Cree or something like that. Parkio. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing these names. Westfall, Lazua. I am not good at names right now. Riverbend, Supervisor or Superior, St. Regis. Look at all this way he had to go to get to Post Falls. Bryson, Larson, Gentry, Silverton, Osborne. And look, here's Kellogg. We already know he's talked about Kellogg. So look how far that was. I'm not good with all my maps when I'm sharing the screen and stuff. I'm just letting you guys know that right now. I ain't got no fancy smancy stuff to like really get into the map stuff. And plus, I'm a computer dinosaur and probably wouldn't be able to figure it out, but someday I might. Then you got Smelter View, Pinehurst. You're going to Canyon. We're still following this I-90 corridor. Wolf Lodge. Let's see. And then it goes up this way. Look at all the waters that it follows. Cordy Lane. And then look. You finally end up in Post Falls. He's a long way from home. Well, from Livingston, where he was staying. And then from Post Falls. Why isn't it showing Spokane now? Let me just see. Nope, we want to back up. Back up. And here's Spokane right here. So if I back up a little bit, let me show you guys. It's not very far. Post Falls over here. And then you've got Spokane somewhere over here. Let me see. Yeah, it's right here. And Post Falls is right over here. Right over the border. Here's Post Falls, Idaho. You got Idaho and Washington state line right here in the center. State line of Idaho. And he seems to just be traveling back and forth right now from Post Falls to Spokane, Washington. And he's doing work in Post Falls and surrounding area. So like Pleasant View, Grand Junction, Tullamore Park. We got East Green Acres, Dalton Gardens, Blackwell, Gibbs, Atlas, Furman Lake Village, Coeur d'Alene, Clarksville, Hayden Lake. There's some other places up here. I don't know if he's going, but these are the surrounding areas around Post Falls. And if you have any information about where Brandon Shurtliff is, call law enforcement 208-642-6006 or email findmichael@fruitland.org. Let's do it. Let's find him. case law enforcement doesn't know. I think they know. Yep, hit that like button, subscribe, become a member if you'd like to become a member. Or you can lurk. It doesn't matter to me. Just being here is all that matters. Highway 2. Let me go back. Where's Highway 2? Was that from... Post Falls, Highway 2, there's 4150. I'm not seeing 2. Where's 2? See, no. I see 27, 290, 27, 290, 395, Spokane, 2. So Spokane is here. Here's Highway 2 right here, going north, straight up. Let's follow that, see where that goes. Fairwood, Meade, Dartford. 2 keeps going on up. You know, and this is pretty damn close to the Canadian border, just saying. I thought that was really strange. Yeah, I don't know. And I don't know if there's more motocross parks in the area, but I do know that he knows people there at that particular motocross and that he has liked that particular motocross on Facebook. So it seems like he really, you know, watches. Thank you for that, Cinnamon. Share to YouTube and Facebook. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, if anybody finds out any information, let me put up my email. Let me know. If it's something interesting, I can post about it. I don't want to put out any misinformation. Like I said earlier, if you want to become a Missing PNW member, here's the link. Click that notification bell. I have a feeling I'm going to be doing a lot more lives. I mean, I've already kind of been going crazy. Hopefully it'll be even more information. You can also come on over to my Michael Vaughan Facebook group. I also have a Missing PNW Facebook group where I do put a lot of my information. I have not been too active, honestly, on my Facebook groups here recently just because things have been moving so fast and I've been doing so much work in the background when I'm not doing lives that it's been very difficult for me to keep up with everything. You would probably need a passport, yes. Will he try and flee? Don't know. I think law enforcement is going to find him whether he flees or not. I know he's working on trying to get a car right now. Why does he need a car unless he plans on traveling? He's mentioned a Honda. He's mentioned a Nissan. You know what? I don't know much about the Idaho 4 case, honestly, to tell you whether or not that's near that town or not. No worries. I don't expect anybody to become a member. Honestly, I'm just thankful that you're all here. You can lurk, you can come in, sit in the bushes, I don't care. I just love having people here that want to share Michael, that want to support the Vaughan family and be part of Monkey's Army. Yeah, he needs a passport, and it is good. And just am keeping track of the Canadian side of the border because I am only about 4.5 hours away from the Idaho border and about 6 to the Washington state. Nice. Yeah, we need all eyes on deck right now, I feel. For nothing else, let's just, keep that pressure on him because he's feeling it. Guarantee you he is feeling it, especially after, good night, Mama B, especially after Dan coming up on live. No joke. That put some pressure on him. And, Dan even messaged me this morning and said, let's just read what Dan said. He told me, he says, no, I have a lot of points for discussion about situations. I've been in around Brandon. Maybe we could go over some one day and see where it goes. And then I also heard from his wife this morning, and she said that if anybody has any questions for Dan from the video, you can send them to me, us, and we will answer them. I am just so grateful that he came on a live and that he was willing, to come up and talk. So yeah, you can send any questions to my email, which is missingpnwcrimes@gmail.com for Dan. Yeah, it's not easy to get a passport. Plus, he's got a warrant for his arrest. Would that even stop him? Maybe, I don't know. But it would definitely let law enforcement know that he's trying to leave. There's no fence on that border, so it's easy to cross in the wilderness areas. Yeah, I don't know anything about the borders or not, but thanks for sharing that with us. Yeah, Dan and Jessica were really, really good last night. And so many people coming over from Justin's channel, Clutch Them Pearls. I appreciate that so much. I saw like over 100 more new subscribers and was like, holy moly. And I appreciate him and Spirit Seeker Squad are the two that I know that's been sharing some of the lives. I appreciate that. You do not need my permission to share any lives. Plus, there's copyright anyway. You can share anything. Does anybody have any pictures of his tattoos to identify him if someone sees? He's only got one on his shoulder, and it's not very big from what I understand. Thank you, Shannon. I appreciate you sharing that with us. Me too. I wasn't expecting him to, that's for sure. Yeah, the more eyes on this case, the better. And the more eyes on Brandon Shurtliff right now, the better. Well, that is the information that I had to share with everyone. I just really appreciate you all coming. I wonder if they were looking in specific areas. Opaline says, how would the cops search 300-acre cemetery with other bodies, etc.? You got ground penetrating radar. They know that Brandon dug certain graves for certain people, so I'm sure they probably checked those out. Yeah, I'm not real sure. I don't have a lot of information. Yes, thank you, Shannon, so much. Sarah, will you send that to me? I would really like to see that. From March? Like 2024 March? You live in Toledo, Ohio. That is where Adrian Lucien is from. We are unstoppable. Unstoppable. I believe that Monkey's army is unstoppable. We're never, ever going to stop. But yes, when it comes to our children, women are, we kick ass. What? Brandon Shurtliff had the dove and the olive branch from March of 2025. Oh my God, and let me, how do I do that? Let me see. Hold on a second. I want to show you guys something too. That is crazy. You just reminded me of something. So, hold on one second while I find this information over here. I've got to go over here. I'm going to share my screen here in a second. I don't like sharing it while I'm looking up information because, let's see. Let's go to my shorts. You guys want, oh my gosh, I just remembered this. This is crazy. Where is it? Am I scrolling too fast? Here it is. Can you guys even see? Hold on one second. How do I see messages? OMG, I have to show you guys this. I am so excited to show you guys this. I just remembered as you're looking that up, holy crap. Are you serious right now? You mentioned in March, I'm sharing my screen. Y'all got to check this out. Okay, look at this, you guys. This is a TikTok that I shared on my page talking about, here's the cemetery right here. And guess who talked on it? Thought TikTok was banned. When was TikTok banned? So how long ago was that? And I said, Brandon, it was, but only for a few days. What's up, Brandon? He came over the one and only time. I remember having to turn information in on this. The one and only time Brandon ever talked to me on YouTube was on the Green Cemetery. Are you friggin' serious? 2 months ago, it says right here. 2 months ago. Wow. And it's just the same information that I was talking about earlier with that dove and the olive branch. Him and Stacy both put it on their Facebook, and he comes in, thought TikTok was banned. Why would he come over and talk on that particular post? I got the wills right now. Kimberly Mann just became a new member. We got a dance in our seat for a new member. Thank you for becoming a Pacific Northwest Whisper. Are you serious? January 18th, less than 24 hours. Yeah, that is beyond. Thank you so much for becoming a member. I appreciate you so much. It's almost like he wants to get caught. Yes, exactly. And he's lurking. I'm like, my hairs are standing up on my arms right now. You know what? Because I would have put that as part of my live when I was talking about it earlier before over 100 people dropped off because we're just sitting here having conversation. But holy crap. Holy crap. I'm going to have to make a new TikTok. I just appreciate you so much for coming in and watching. I cannot do this without everybody else. You're so appreciative here. We are our great PNW family. The chat here is amazing. My moderators are amazing. My subscribers, my lurkers, everyone here is so amazing. I just love it. He is paranoid. And there's a paper trail by his comment that only one he commented on. It's just weird. When you showed that dove, I went looking, and that's when I found the recent one. Yeah, Sarah's suspicious of saying that he posted that dove with a little olive branch on it just in March of 2025. It is April. March was last month, and 2 months ago he's oh my God, it is. It's almost like he wants to get caught. 2 months he's over there, on my YouTube short that I talked about, the Mountain View Greenway Cemetery. The one and only time he ever comments on anything on my YouTube, that's the one that he picks. And shortly after that, ends up putting up that as his profile again in March of 20. This is just really strange. And then in March, okay, so we know March 24th is when they started searching up there at the Greenway or the Mountain View Green Cemetery. So when was that in March? Does it say, Sarah? Where Kimberly Man has just gifted one Pacific Northwest Crimes Revisited membership. If you've received that membership, please thank Kimberly. I appreciate you so much for doing that. You are so amazing. Thank you for... And thank... Yeah, I'm kind of curious, like when in March did he post that? When he knew they were searching up there? Was it before that? Because he knew they were going to? I appreciate you so much. You sent it to my messenger. Thank you. I'm going to look real quick because I can't wait. I don't see a bird with the olive branch. I only see the pool table and the little world thing on March 30th. So am I confused? Did he share the dove with the branch in March? Yeah, I just see the earth too. I don't see... OMG, if you zoom in on top... Oh, wow. If you zoom in right on top of the world, there is a dove on... I wonder if that's on its current one too. So, oh, it is. Oh, wow. There is a dove sitting with a branch on its mouth on the world in that pool table profile. That's insane. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm in shock. 2 weeks ago. So what? Yeah, it was the end of the month. So yeah, he did that after the search or during the search, because as far as I know, at the beginning of the month is when it ended, or shortly thereafter, the beginning of the month. The search up there at Mountain View Green Cemetery. Oh yeah, LA is seeing this 100%. A lot of his friends have the same Earth symbol halo, the same one with the dove. The search started March 24th. It ended around the beginning of the month, but we're sitting here talking about the fact that Brandon's profile picture that he recently, at the end of March, changed his profile picture to has a picture of a pool table. And then at the very bottom left-hand corner has this like little world. And then on top of the world is this little bitty tiny dove with an olive branch in its mouth. Callie, I will send it to you right now. No joke. Were you here when I showed hold on a second. Were you here when I showed what Brandon liked on my short? On my YouTube? Oh. That was to the wrong person. Dan's going to be like, why'd you send me that? Here you go, Callie. Sending it to you in a message right now. Callie, were you here when I just talked about Brandon Shurtliff talking on my YouTube short that I just remembered as Sarah told us about the new profile that he was here? Yep, okay. Yeah, that is crazy. So yeah, I just sent you the picture with the little dove on the world. I ain't got time to like upload it and put it up here because I would have to do like a little CapCut share thing and everything. Wait, let me see if I can. Hold on. I've been getting pretty savvy lately. Let me see if I can figure this out. Let me see. Hold on a second, guys. I'm going to see if I can't share this. How do we do it? It says that. Let's see if I can download this again. And then let me see if I have to share it to. Yep, that's what I had to do. Oh, I might be able to actually share it, you guys. Well, that's not big enough. Hold on a second. I have to make sure I have nothing here that I don't mind sharing. Reading everything. Oh, yeah, let me see. Oh, no. Yeah, I don't even know if I can do it. That sucks. It took me way too far away to be able to share it. I remember having to do that last time, and it wouldn't. Yep, I can't share it because it shares way too much of my information to share my screen to get over there, because once I get over there I have to click all of the stuff. You guys get to see too much of my stuff, but I will show you guys on a different live. That's just crazy though. See, I do need to become more tech savvy. Yeah, I do have a picture of Eric. Let me see. This is Eric. For anybody watching. Eric Kisser out of Post Falls, Idaho. He is a criminal. Not surprising, considering that he's friends with one of the 4 suspects. He's a thief. I remember somebody saying that him and Brandon, when they worked together, would steal things from other people. Like they both worked for another landscaping company or something and were stealing from them. But that's Eric Kisser. And you're entitled to your own opinion. I won't believe any missing child is deceased until a body is recovered. Yep, because there are miracles sometimes. Go, Idaho, please. You just answered my next question. Yeah, sorry, you guys. Yeah, 43 charges is insane. 43 charges was on his other friend, Alex. But Brandon was hanging out with Alex and with Eric 2 days after Michael's abduction. Both of those guys are landscapers. Eric had excavation, machinery, and yeah, hanging out for hours and hours and hours into the wee night. Like, it's crazy. 2 days after Michael, and that's who he ends up hanging out with now, who he's with now, who he's hiding with right now. I mean, if I was that guy, I'd be calling law enforcement myself and telling them exactly, where Brandon is. Hey, if you want to know where he's at, he's with me and you can come get him. We're right here. Yeah, he's a little rough around the edges, isn't he? Right. Why is Stacy changing his profile picture with that on it as well? That is not a coincidence, in my opinion, and I totally agree with you, Chuck's granddaughter. I absolutely loved Chuck so much. I'm so sorry you lost your grandpa. He would come into chat. I was wondering where he was for the longest time. He came into chat and supported me always. So many of us, actually. It is. It's really creepy. Anybody new coming in? Just letting everybody know. They searched Mountain View Green Cemetery for Michael. Don't know what, if anything, that they found. We're not privileged to any of that information. It's an all-natural cemetery. We were just sitting here talking about the fact that Brandon and Stacy shared this little dove with the olive branch that's here on the cemetery on their profiles. This is back February 17th, don't know the year. And then Stacy's was shared November 21st of 2021. So that was just shortly after Michael disappeared. And this is just paperwork showing that Tina Mariel, which is Brandon's mom, inherited the Greenway Cemetery. And then we saw Brandon over here on my YouTube short talking about the Greenway Cemetery. It's the one and only YouTube thing that Brandon ever spoke on. It was 2 months ago. Thought TikTok was banned. And I just told him it was for a few days. What's up, Brandon? Yeah, it's crazy. And then Sarah Suspicious just found that he changed his profile picture that had a dove and an olive tree branch March 30th. When we found out about the cemetery, we saw the dove symbols and we're like, what the hell? Right? It did me too. The hairs were standing up and I remembered it. I wouldn't have remembered it if Sarah wouldn't have said something about his changing his profile picture. Well, we're hitting almost 3 hours, guys. I need to eat. I got a little bit low last night right before the live ended because I waited so long to eat. I started slurring my words and stuff. I don't want that to happen again, but I appreciate everybody coming in, supporting the Vaughan family. I'm going to play Brandy one more time, pleading with Brandon to please tell the Vaughan family where Monkey is.
And Brandon, you know what happened to our beautiful baby. Whether you were directly involved, but you know. You need to start talking. You need to come forward. Quit lying, quit hiding. Please tell us where Michael is. Let our family have some rest, please. Let us bring our baby home. We've worked tirelessly, endlessly. Law enforcement, stop protecting these criminals. It's time to tell the truth. It's time to own up. It's time to find Michael and bring him home and stop your BS.
Wood Chipper, thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate you so very much. Thank you for being here. Beverly, Brandy knows he knows. I'm getting just tired of her having to plea and beg these suspects to tell her where Monkey is. It's so disheartening. We need to find out. No more games. Where is Michael? Exactly, Kelly. Thank you for coming. Yeah, man up, Brandon. We're never going to stop. Yep, let's just keep hoping and praying that something came out of the search. Let's keep praying for Brandy. She's been very ill. She's fighting for her life every single day. She just wants her son home. The Vaughan family just wants Monkey home so that they can have some peace. And they deserve the peace. They're such a great family. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you guys so much for coming in. And law enforcement, you deserve so much more. Thank you so much for working on Monkey's case. We appreciate the Futland Police Department and all law enforcement agencies that are working on Michael Vaughan's case. We're ready for justice. I know you guys are too. Let's make it happen. And I appreciate the district attorney so much for, finally writing up those charges on these 4 suspects. Sarah Wandra, Stacy Wandra, Adrian Lucian, and Brandon Shurtliff. Remember, you guys, no tip is too small. 208-642-6006 or find Michael at Futland.org. No tip is too small. Please let law enforcement decide whether or not your tip is credible. And if you see Brandon Shurtliff, again, tip line 208-642-6006 or email findmichael at Futland.org. Have a good night, everybody. I will see you guys next week. I'm going on vacation and taking a little break. I love you guys. Good night.
Thank you.